Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Velocity and Fluent in San Jose. I'm here with Neil from Sauce Labs. Neil, how you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
Good. So, Sauce Labs, what have you guys been up to the last couple of years? I think it's been a while since we've talked.
Yep.
And so, what's new with you guys?
Yeah, what we're trying to do now is move into analytics and remediation such that when a test fails or something is going on, remediating and figuring out what happened is as quick and as efficient as possible. So let's say, you run a test and something fails, and we want to reduce that time to investigate and then debug so that you know what broke, and also pull from the history of what's been going on, as well as introducing possibly some machine learning or some intelligent mechanisms in place to assist with this process.
So are you guys in your remediation, is this for live systems or is this for in production, not in production, but in development?
Yeah.
Where are you testing in this process?
Good question. So you want to test early and often as possible, but this is typically used before you deploy to production to certify that all your functionality is working and your code is quality code, meaning that it works in all the different browsers. So how it typically works is a developer makes a change, the continuous integration systems detect that, and then kick off the test automation framework, which would run tests against Sauce Labs, against all the various browsers that your consumers or customers are using your app in. So as early as possible, and usually post or pre-production deployment.
And so do you guys also think about testing in real time? I mean, is that some automated testing in real time? Is that something you guys are going to be doing as well, or?
Yeah, so really it's however your pipeline is designed, as well as the maturity of the organization. So some of our customers or some of the industry is using us for even post-production deployment to make sure that their systems are up and running end to end, because what happens is you're running the test such that it opens the browser and is simulating the exact interactions that the user would have, opening the browser, going to a URL, clicking on an element, verifying something comes up. So you can run that post-production deployment or pre-production deployment, and the more tests you do, the better, especially in an automated fashion. And that's really the advantage of automated testing, is you can run it on the fly at any given moment.
Well, the advantage of automated testing, so how does a company go to automated testing? Let's say they're doing some sort of manual testing now, and how do they flip that switch to get from what they're doing now to automated testing?
Yeah, so the first thing is you have to have some expertise or some knowledge there. The other piece I would say is moving straight from manual to automated testing, really have automation in mind and take a step back and think about it. Automated tests are much different than manual tests, especially functional testing. For example, in manual testing, you would pop open the browser, launch it, log in, do a bunch of actions, and then maybe move on to the next test case and the next test case. But automated testing is very different. You want to have short, succinct, atomic, and autonomous tests. In order to do that, you guys have to have a test data management strategy, have APIs in place so you can set up the count or test in the desired state and test exactly what you want. And that's what I mean by atomic tests, and make it such that you can run these tests massively in parallel. And that's what I mean by autonomous tests, that is self-governing. And that's really where you're going to get the true fruits from automated testing.
So does the autonomous testing, does it look at an app and decide everything it needs to test? Or do you leave things out? I mean, is this smart enough to know that it needs to test all the difficult things and all the simple things, or how do you decide?
Good question. So I would say in a utopic world, you'd want to run all your tests as early as possible on the fly, and that's assuming that you have the bandwidth to do it. So let's say if you have 1,000 tests, you want to run all 1,000 of them in parallel. Okay. And if it only takes you, 30 seconds, a minute, do it, because that might be the same time it takes you to run 100 tests in parallel. So really, it's about running as many as you can as early in the process to get your developers the feedback that they need, that they're on the right track, not breaking any functionality, as well as have the pipelines organized such that they can run the tests or issue a pull request when that would kick off the test, and they can get feedback before they merge it into master or the main pipeline picks it up. So don't punish the developer for writing bad code, but instead give them the feedback. That's what developers want.
So what do you see as one of the most common pitfalls when someone is new to automated testing and they're doing something that probably is not optimal? What is that normal kind of pitfall of things that are done that probably should be left to the automation or the autonomous?
Yeah. So anything that you're repeating, as well as is easily suited for automation. So things like getting to a specific place in the form and clicking submit and verifying an error happens or verifying that the form is submitted, that would be a good candidate for automation. But something that's outside the scope of Selenium or the automation protocols is typically better suited for manual testing. And there's a balance. You want to automate as much as possible so that you focus your manual or exploratory testing on specific things that cannot be automated or not suited. And that way you can depend on your automation to get a certain amount, or in theory, hopefully 100% confidence, and decrease the amount of manual testing you do to iterate often and get that code to production.
So there's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, AI.
Yep.
Is testing going there too? I mean, is AI going to tell us what we should be testing in the future, and what you might want to look at instead of doing it manually?
Absolutely. So I would imagine this as, you take the analytics from what your users are how they're using your application, what flows they're taking, as well as what are the critical paths. For example, the About Us page might not be as important as the checkout page, right? Yeah. You want to make sure that you can take their money as well as give them a product. But I believe that there will be definitely machine learning and artificial intelligence to assist with that. And the data's already there. We just have to make sense of it. For example, there's already a lot of instrumentation in the current apps that we're seeing in production today, whether they're mobile or web, in what paths are being hit, as well as what are the more common patterns and such.
I could see that autonomous and automated testing being one of the things that we almost get humans out of the loop on to some degree. Mm-hmm. But I think there's still that judgment that needs to be made. But so if you look really far forward in the future, mm-hmm. where would you like to see Sauce Labs be? And far forward to me is 12 months, because a lot changes in that quick
Absolutely.
time. So what would you like to see next year if you sat down and had this conversation? What would you like to say Sauce Labs is doing and your partners are doing?
Yeah. I would like to see Sauce have all the information that the browser has, as well as be able to predict things such as like memory leaks, CPU usage, figure out the last 10 times that you ran this test, this error didn't happen, or this portion of the test was this short. This time it's 10 times as long, and it had 2 JavaScript errors. So probably the problem is with this part of the test or this part of the application, so that you can drill down and go to the problem area as soon as possible and go about fixing it. So really surfacing more information to make you more efficient, as well as certify your code and drill down into the areas that are going to cause problems. And the more effectively you can remediate is going to be the more code getting out to production, as well as the quality and the uptime spiking.
Quick and effective.
Correct, yeah. Exactly. So really I think it's give developers the feedback and the information they need and surface as much of it as we can, as well as do effective machine learning and use our technology to our advantage to make the developer's life easier or the tester's life easier.
Excellent. Well, Neil, we look forward to that conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.